out of 3 people will fall. And then, unfortunately, from that point, the injuries are usually either a hip fracture or traumatic brain injury. For those people that do happen to suffer a brain injury, a hip fracture, the rate of death within the year is about 12 to 67%. Hence why I focus on it so much. So I do a lot of balance training and try not to harp on it, but as my client here will tell you in a few minutes, it is a main focus of what I do every day. So exercise is more than just lifting weights and trying to look good. It's about maintaining your quality of life, and that's what I'm here to do. The other benefit, or big benefit, to the aging community is how it helps them prevent Alzheimer's disease. Recently, they just came out with a huge study in how it's preventing the rapid decline of brain tissue and the connective neural frequencies that go on. Hey, Jim, why don't you come on up? Come on. Normally what I do in my first session with people, and I did this just last week with a woman who is 82 years old, is I turn this thing upside down and I say, stand on it. And everybody looks at me like I have 3 heads. However, within 2 weeks, it goes from doing this to this. And then...
Yeah. I'm on week 1.
Come on, Jim.
I'm about to become one of these statistics.
Jim's been working with me for a few months. Did you not look at me like I was crazy when I first put you on that?
Oh, he's crazy about twice a week. Oh, and she did this to me yesterday, too. What am I supposed to do with this?
Squat. Go ahead.
Oh, wait a minute.
So, come down and then up, just like you do every day.
Just like I do every day. You mean I get to fall off like I do everything?
That's right. None of us can do it.
Thank you.
3? Thank you.
And these are light for you. Jim, do you mind telling everybody how old you are?
66.
Okay.
But, and pretty sedentary. You know the story.
Jim quit smoking after 40 years in February of this past year.
But I picked up another habit that's killing me.
And now you know why I love going to work every day. Jim brings up a good point. Excuse me. He started in the PrEP program. So the PrEP program is the Physician's Referral Exercise Program. It's 60 days for $60. You have full access to the gym. They ask that you come for 2 30-minute sessions every week within that 60 days. It's kind of monitored, so when you make an appointment, there is somebody there, but it's not one-on-one sessions. And fortunately for me, one of the PrEP team referred Jim and his wife to me when they were done and signed on as regular members. And they've been stuck with me ever since. But the PrEP program is an excellent program. It gets people that are normally sedentary or just not able to do it on their own, and it gives them some guided goals and help. And we design programs for everybody that comes in. We monitor your blood pressure and heart rate. If you happen to be diabetic, we ask that you check your sugar before you start and things like that. So, and there is an RN on staff. It's somewhat guided, but not completely. And hopefully, after you're done with the 60 days, you then turn around and keep your membership and keep coming. Maybe you get stuck with me. But yes.
What facility is this?
ACAC.
What do you remind him?
I'm in the downtown facility. However, I do have, well, my 82-year-old client is at the square. If you're over 80, I will make exceptions and maybe drive across town to come see you. Yeah, ACAC is the athletic club. There's downtown, which is on the corner of Monticello and 2nd Street. There's the Square, which is not far from here. I'm figuring out where I am. But 29 Emrio Road. Right. And then there's a location in Crozet out at Old Trail. There's also one in Richmond, one in Pennsylvania, and one in Midlothian, I believe. Yeah, with somebody like that, I probably spend more time stretching, using a foam roller. So I'll spend sometimes 10 to 15 minutes in the beginning of a session just stretching them, making them feel better before we start working out. And a lot of times what happens with people is they do too much. So they think, oh, well, this leg's good, and they go and do like 40 or 50 reps. Well, then they wind up with an overuse injury, which is what tendonitis is. So usually I have to like scale them back. So sometimes just slowing them down and making it feel good versus going into an overuse situation.
And just one of the issues we see people with are
Unfortunately, probably the biggest thing I see are joint replacements, hips and knees, like a dime a dozen. The good news is usually everybody feels better once they get it replaced. And like Jennifer pointed out, I do help people before surgery because it makes the recovery process so much faster and easier. And then not soon after their post-op, I'll bring them back in and get them up and running again. But that is probably the biggest thing. After that, I would say it's the balance issue. And the big problem with that is the fear factor. So what happens is everybody starts to get afraid they're going to fall, so they do less, which just then becomes a snowball effect. The less you do, the more likely you are to fall, and then so the less you do, and the more likely, and it just becomes worse and worse.
and you have specific balance classes, don't you?
Yeah, ACAC has a class. I'd say it's probably 3 times a week. They have a balance class in the Group X room. One of the easiest things you can do is stand on one leg. If you're not comfortable standing on one leg, put yourself in a door frame so that you can put your hands out quickly. But even if you just work to standing 15 seconds at a time and then switch legs, when you get good at that, close your eyes. Because there's 3 things that affect your balance. It's your vision, your inner ear, and your proprioception. So proprioception is knowing where your body is in space. And so a primal instinct when you close your eyes is your body says, put your foot down. That's just a primal instinct. So, but if you can figure out how to train your brain to figure out where your feet and legs are, it's easier to balance. And one of the biggest things I've done is because I work with so many people over 65, is that I started to notice every single one of them was looking down at the floor. And so I started to ask them, at what point did you stop looking straight ahead? Because the primal instinct is to look towards the horizon. And they're all like, oh, this is right around 62, 65. Everybody starts looking down. It's because they're afraid they're going to trip. The problem is they walk into things. I kid you not. They come in with bruises on their face. I'm like, what happened? Oh, the cabinet was open and I didn't see it because you were looking at the floor. So while my clients don't really like it, I make them look up constantly. You're more likely to fall because you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. Right. And a lot of people will ask me about the cost. I'm a lot less expensive than a nursing home. It's just a matter of what you put value in. So I'm not, I never say to people, you have to come see me 3 times a week, you have to see me for an hour. I mean, you can do a half an hour, you could do it once a week, once every other week. But still, no matter how often you come to see me, I'm a lot less expensive.